What's up, folks? It's Dan here. We are back again with another episode of Q&A Tuesday. It is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, my absolute favorite holiday. And we got some great questions today, looking to jump right in. Quick note, if you are following the blog, I am late on yesterday's post, the skills of a hitman, because we're covering Agent 47 right now. So if you're wondering, I have been working on something else on the back end of the site, kind of took over my time a little bit. That is going to be the holiday treasure hunt, which is a whole bunch of sales and coupons and stuff like that for the Be a Game Character ebooks and other things on the site, personal training and stuff like that as well. So I'm just about done with that, and then the post should be going up sometime later today. So if you're wondering where that is, that's where that is. So we're going to go ahead and move right into questions. We're going to start off with actually a forum question, because Ghost asked a question over on the Be a Game Character forum, because he does not have a YouTube account. Last week's question, FYI, was if you could learn any martial art, real or fantasy, what would it be? I will be answering that question in just a minute. But to move into Ghost's question, first of all, Ghost has like a bazillion martial arts that he studies depending on where he is. He travels around a lot, and I love reading about his travels and the stuff he's studying at a time. But he said, if I had to just pick one martial art, I reckon I'd go with Combat Sambo. Striking plus grappling, gnarly leg locks, Combat Sambo's dope. Glad I don't have to pick just one martial art, though. And it's so true. He studies so many martial arts. He's like, it's just... I'm jealous. He's training to be Batman, right, Ghost? Question for you. What do you think is your biggest weakness as a martial artist? Personally, my stand-up grappling is atrocious. I'll roll with guys whose only experience is high school wrestling, and I can catch them in guillotines and triangles after they ragdoll me to the mat. Real world, they go 100% on their takedowns and use the sidewalk and put me in a coma. Well, I would say my biggest weakness is probably groundwork, grappling on the ground. My stand-up's okay. My striking, in my opinion, is very, very good. Of course, that's just my own personal opinion. Striking is definitely my comfortable zone. Grappling on the ground is definitely my least comfortable zone. So I would say probably that. Ground grappling would be my weakest point. So, yeah, that's the great question. Thank you for asking. And this is, and I boxed for 2 hours today. It was fun. Got to remember this is a training log after all. Awesome. Good stuff, dude. Thank you. Good question. Thanks for asking. You should get a YouTube account so you can come join us here over on the channel. Moving on, we've got your name. This is Dan. This is my favorite question to answer because I love martial arts. If I could learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that would be my number one pick. I gave it a try, but I had to give it up. It was a shame because I really loved rolling and learning into submissions. Hopefully I get back into that, but I'm so busy training for the triathlon and lifting weights, I just can't right now. One day. Well, that happens, dude. It's just, we have so much time in the day. I personally would love to start at BJJ as well, but I have to give my priority to judo right now, and even with judo being my priority, I'm still only making it to class like every other week at best. So I understand that time crunch completely. My question for you is martial arts related. Who do you think is the defining fighter of this era? We have Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, and a ton of other famous fighters over the year. What do you think the next one is? Well, obviously we're in the era of mixed martial arts right now. Boxing was, I would say, the previous era of competitive fighting. Now we have entered with the UFC and Bellator and Strikeforce and all the others. We've entered the era of mixed martial arts. This is difficult to say as well. Anderson Silva, obviously an iconic fighter. One of the best records ever. Granted, he has fallen from grace a little bit in his more recent fights, but very, very good, cannot be ignored. Lyoto Machida, same deal. Both of whom also had some performance enhancement drug allegations at various points in time. Which, I mean, I tend to let that stuff go a little bit, but whatever. So Anderson Silva, definite contender. Conor McGregor just won the first 2 class belts at the same time in the UFC, so that also is a contender, although he has not been around long enough. He does not have the kind of record. Interestingly enough, being the best fighter of your era does not necessarily make you the defining fighter. You mentioned Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was probably not the best boxer of his era. He was beaten by others at various points in time, but he was very iconic in his approach and his personality and his brand, so to speak. So, difficult to say. I would say Anderson Silva will always be mentioned as one of the greats in the MMA era. I have a feeling Conor McGregor is going to end up the same way. You got the classics, obviously. You've got Randy Couture. You've got what's his name? Wow, Iceman. The hell's his name? Ken Shamrock. Not Ken Shamrock. Well, I mean Ken Shamrock too. But anyway, you've got lots of very iconic fighters, but I don't know if we've seen the fighter yet of the mixed martial arts era, because MMA is still very young. You got to remember that when Muhammad Ali came along, boxing had already been a major competitive sport for like over a century. So, difficult to say. I would say that we haven't seen that person yet, but we may in the next decade. So, who knows? Maybe it's Conor McGregor. Maybe Conor McGregor goes on a tear and ends up being completely undefeated for another 15 years or whatever, or something like that. I don't know. Next question. It is getting colder. This is proving some problems for me because I run and bike outside. What do you do to combat the cold while also remaining light? I don't want to bike around in a puffy jacket just to stay warm. Under Armour makes some good stuff. Their cold gear is great. I personally don't mind the cold that much. I like being cold. So, I tend to just throw some long underwear on and some light sweats over it and go for a run no matter what temperature it is out. Biking is different, though. And the other thing with biking is you got to get really good gloves. So I would say look at Under Armour stuff. Look at Under Armour stuff. And then for gloves, maybe look at some snowboarding gloves, like half-pipe gloves, because they tend to be pretty thin but also very warm. Thanks, Dan. Have a great week. You too. Your name. Thank you for your questions. They were good, and I'm going to keep thinking on that mixed martial artist thing. Next up, we've got Storyman09, who says, "For thousands of years I lay torments." Well, it's more like I've been caught up in life for 2 weeks and haven't been able to post a question, but the resident Storyman is back. Glad to have you back, Storyman. Anyhow, I love this week's question. Martial arts are great. I really love this question. It's great. I'm honestly pretty happy with the martial arts I practice. I practice both boxing and kickboxing and a type of samurai bujutsu or samurai art. That's pretty cool. I want to hear more about that. That being said, in real life, I'm kind of interested in the combined Bashi Xuan. I don't never know how to pronounce the Chinese martial arts. Pigua Zhang system. I think I'm pronouncing them correctly. It's an ancient Chinese martial art that actually seems fairly legit and less flashy or showy than the modern-day Chinese wushu. Yeah, I know what you're talking about with wushu. Their complementariness of systems... Complementariness? Is that a word? I might dock you points for that. I don't know. The complementariness of the combined system is a mix of long and short-range attacks, and its spear and power training appeal to me. Spear? Oh, like you learn spear? That's cool. Plus, there's a really badass quote about how you can combine the two into one system. Spirits and ghosts shiver in fear, and all heroes sigh because they can't reach the invincible level. That does sound pretty badass. I'm 90% sure this is an over-exaggeration. Hype piece, 100%. But if it is a hype piece, it's definitely effective. If I could learn a fictional martial art, I'd probably go with Ansatsuken from Street Fighter because Akuma. Just Akuma, entirely Akuma. I'm with you there. Either the Ansatsuken or one of the fictional martial arts from manga/anime, History's Midas disciple Kenichi. My question for you is twofold. One, what part might martial arts play when it comes to working out and physical training? And two, how do you think physical health connects and ties with mental/emotional/spiritual health? Well, martial arts are great for two reasons when it comes to physical training. One, practicing a good martial art itself is a workout, generally a cardiovascular workout, but it is a workout. The other thing is that it gives you, especially if you're competing, it gives you a goal to work towards. Like, for instance, the judo tournament I was making a weight cut for, I've never done a weight cut like that before. I've never had to be that determined to get my body to a certain point. So having that decided, goal and that fixed endpoint, like I had to be at this weight by this tournament, was great. So martial arts, if you're competing, can give you a great motivation for staying in shape, and also practicing the martial art itself also keeps you in shape in general. And it's fun. It's a fun way to keep in shape. A lot of people don't like doing a bazillion push-ups, but if you take them to karate class and you say, hey, dude, a bazillion punches and kicks on this bag, and then go fight this dude, they're like, yeah, sounds awesome. So, yeah. As far as physical health connecting and tying with mental, emotional, and spiritual health, they are all connected. I will say that I'm going to go out on a limb here and make a statement that if you are not physically fit, you are not completely emotionally and spiritually healthy. I'm going to say that. I'm going to go that far out there and say if you are not physically fit, if you're not working towards physical fitness, even if you think you are mentally and spiritually and emotionally healthy, you're not as healthy as you could be, basically. You could be happy and content, but you are not as healthy as you could be because there are certain things about physical fitness that do things to your brain and body chemistry, to your emotions, to your psychology, even to your spirituality, that if you're not practicing physical fitness, if you're not working on keeping yourself in relatively good shape in some way, shape, or form, you are in fact depriving yourself. At the same time, you can be very, very, very physically fit and also extremely unhealthy emotionally and psychologically. Like, it's not a whole package. You can't be in really good shape and consider that the end of things. There's plenty of people that are in really good shape but are still real unbalanced in their head. So it's all part of the same package. I think if you're missing out on one, you're not at your peak for the other. That's it. You know, you got kind of a trifecta there of the spiritual / emotional, psychological, and physical. If you don't have the Triforce in balance there, you know, you're going to end up having problems at some point. So, moving on, that was a really good question. I like it a lot. I ask it first because I do a lot of deep stances that leave my legs feeling it, and a lot of heavy bag work where I'm continuously exerting a lot of physical force with my whole body, and yet it leaves me feeling different than when I left weights. Well, yeah, there's different style workouts. One's endurance, one's cardiovascular, and one is strength and power related. So that will end up making you feel different. Different energy systems your body draws upon, different psychology that goes into it, different needs, different results. As for the second part, I'll often use physical exercise and martial arts as a way to understand, deal with, and work through emotional, mental, or spiritual distress. That works really well for a lot of people. It's just kind of a sacred time for me almost, and leaves me more grounded, relaxed, and better able to pray or just interact with people. Yeah. That's all. I apologize for making you read such a massive block of text, but I really like your question. I hope you like mine. I'm looking forward to this week's Going Superhuman and the Agent 47 series on your blog. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great day as well, Storyman. Thanks for stopping in. Next up, we have Project Ronin, who does not ask a question, does not answer a question, says, you should do the Clone Troopers workout. You know what? Since you didn't ask a question and you didn't answer a question, I'm never doing the Clone Troopers ever. The end. Period. No Clone Troopers ever, and it's your fault, Project Ronin. No, I'm just kidding. That's a good suggestion. I like that. My cousin is actually a huge Star Wars. Like, I like Star Wars. My cousin is a Star Wars fan, apart from any Star Wars fan I've ever seen before. So I'm sure if I did that, he would enjoy it very much. Maybe I'll pull him in for that. We'll do a fight like the Clone Troopers thing. But yeah, that's a good suggestion. Difficult because we'd have to do it kind of like the Ninja Turtles, where like I've got different posts for different characters, I guess, because I mean, unless we're doing just like a generic, this is what the Clone Troopers did to train when they were being trained on, was it Genosha? What? I'm gonna lose points for this. It wasn't Genosha. What planet were the Clone Troopers raised on? Crap. Oh, you know what? We're going to Google. Were the clones made on? Let's see. Camino. A horrible person. Where's Genosha? What was Genosha? I forget what planet Genosha was. Genosha. Oh wait, Genosha isn't even in Star Wars. I'm a horrible person. I'm so sorry. Genosha is X-Men, Marvel Comics. I'm so sorry. Okay. All right. I told you I'd lose points for that. I lost a lot of points. I swear there was a Genosha in the Star Wars universe. You know what? We're continuing to Google this. I need to know. Wait. Geonosis. That's where I got confused. Okay. I feel less bad now. That's pretty close. All right. Losing nerd cred. Moving on. BenRex777, hello Benny, says, hello Dan! If you could learn any martial art really fancy, what would it be? I once watched a video about a Hebrew martial art. It was interesting because it was made for people on battlefields over 700 years ago to disarm soldiers and finish them with their own weapons. It's quick, powerful, doesn't need special weapons, and it was born on a battlefield. As a little side note, like as a Christ I, as a Christian, like the origin of that martial art. That's interesting. I have not heard of that, but, you know, I would be interested in learning about it. Sounds pretty cool. There is an Israeli martial art, obviously Krav Maga, which was similar, developed for use by the Israeli military, which is a pretty cool martial art. And now the question for you. A normal book goes through proofreading and rewriting, but a web novel or manga can on the internet seems to be uploaded every week without going through such a big amount of rewriting. Does it just seem like that? Absolutely, yes. Yes, there's tons of very quickly written, or not even necessarily very quickly written, but very quickly published stuff that goes up on the internet. And you know, it's I wouldn't say it's a bad thing necessarily, but it is that you'll notice a distinct lack of quality in general, just because proofreading is important, obviously. Editing is important. Most of the great books that you've seen out there, not all, but most of the great books and stories out there have gone through significant editing and rewrites in their life. And it really does help the process. So I would say, yes, it does seem like that. And with the birth of the Amazon Kindle, it's so easy to publish a book now and get it out there. And, you know, it's just, I do feel like you see a reduction in quality because of it, but you also get a much larger quantity. So there is a trade-off there. We probably have more published authors. If you're counting ebooks as publishing, we have more published authors right now than there has ever been in the history of humanity. So that's pretty cool. And moving on about Swiss politics from last time. Too much patriotism is bad, but if you turn around and you look bad at it when you wear a Swiss t-shirt in Switzerland, is not good as well. I mean, yeah, I could see that. I would never want to be, like derided for wearing a shirt with an American flag on or something like that. But at the same time, I don't know. I think we're going to see in the next 100 years a significant shift in the world as our communication paradigms expand and we talk to more people more easily all over the world and we travel all over the world more easily. I think we're going to see the idea of nations slowly dying away. I hope we see that, to be honest. I hope we see the idea of nations slowly dying away, because I feel like there was a lot about the idea of patriotism and nationalism that divides us as a species unnecessarily. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with having pride in the culture that you grew up in or the location that you grew up in. Those are cool, but they're also random chance. By luck you were born into this country. By luck you were born into this culture, but whatever. So I feel like there's a lot of pride that we derived from that is not absolutely necessary. And I think that we do allow the separation of ourselves, the artificial separation of nations to divide us to divide us unnecessarily as a species, and it kind of holds us back sometimes. Overall, Switzerland does good, but if you believe the technical journals in Switzerland is slowly giving up its position, we'll see. Only time will tell, right? Have a nice week. Benny, you have a nice week as well. And moving on, we have John Smith, who says, for any martial arts, I would go with bar brawling. I know it's not an art, but it's really cool to watch in movies. There you go. Absolutely. As for voting, what? No love for Gary Johnson? But seriously, let's just hope for the best. And as for my question, first, if you have time to have a podcast, would you? Yes, I would, if I had the time. A lot of people underestimate the time that goes into a podcast. It's not just recording audio to do it. Cause I'd want to do a really good podcast, which means I need to get guests. I need to have features. I need to do all kinds of stuff like that. So it would be a big chunk of time. I've considered it before, but I absolutely am not going to have the time for a podcast too soon. Just saying. How's that scout workout I sent you going? I'm sorry, dude. I never actually got around to that. I will get back to you when I look at it. I'm sorry for that. John emailed me a prototype workout for the scout from Team Fortress, and I just have not had a chance to look at it, so I apologize for that. And how we said we treat our president as a celebrity. It's always bothered me. It's like king or queen of England. Yeah, celebrity culture definitely does not help in politics at all. So yeah, thanks for the questions, John. And as far as my answer to the question of the week, if I could learn any martial art, real or fantasy, what would it be? Obviously, Ansatsuken enters in there because we all know of my also love for Akuma. I would like. I know there's no actual name for it, but can I just go like become a Saiyan? Like can I learn the Saiyan martial arts? I'll go train with Master Roshi. Can we do that? Like that's plenty. Everything that Master Roshi taught to Krillin and Goku. Like if I could just become Krillin, I'd be happy. I mean, Krillin is effectively like almost One Punch Man in any normal universe. He's only weak in the Dragon Ball universe, and he's a regular person. So if I go train with Master Roshi and learn a turtle style whatever, then become as strong as Krillin, count me in for that. In real life, combat sambo is actually a great martial art as because if I had picked just one, I'd want to pick one that's well rounded. So combat sambo, as mentioned by Ghost, is very well rounded. Lots of striking, grappling, stuff like that. Also, traditional judo as devised by Jigoro Kano, which used to feature strikes and stuff as well, and a lot more groundwork. Also very good. Not current tournament judo, which has a lot of restrictions put on it, but original judo as devised by Jigoro Kano. And at the same token, Japanese jiu-jitsu. Can we count Budo as a whole? Like, is that cheating? Because Budo and Bushido, as learned by the samurai, had like everything, like grappling and striking and swords and stuff like that. So I don't know. I would want something well-rounded with a whole bunch of different stuff in it, like grappling and throwing and striking. So I would say combat sambo, very traditional, original mindset judo. Or possibly even Japanese jiu-jitsu, something like that. I know I'm a karate guy first and foremost, and I should give credit to that, but the fact is, if I'm learning just one martial art, karate is not a complete enough martial art that I would pick that. There's basically no groundwork, like none. And I've already admitted the groundwork is the weakest part of my game, and partially it is because I came up through a karate system, and the style of karate I do is very, very good for striking. It's a very modern style striking art, lots of live sparring, lots of, good techniques, guards, stuff like that. But the fact remains that the vast majority of karate guys don't know what to do the second you grab onto them. So they think they know what to do. There is some small stuff in there, but the reality is there's a whole world that's not open there. So that's it. So question for next week. For my American compatriots, it is Thanksgiving this week. So I am going to say this. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. So I'm going to say this. What is your favorite holiday celebrated in your country? Because I know we've got some people outside of the country as well. What is your favorite holiday celebrated by people in your country? Or your favorite holiday overall, if you want to celebrate a holiday to celebrate another country or another culture. What's your favorite, and why is it your favorite? What's your favorite holiday, and why is that holiday your favorite? Thanksgiving is my favorite. I'm telling you that right now. I'll tell you why next week. But that's it. So tell me next week, what is your favorite holiday and why it's your favorite holiday? And ask me another great question. I've gotten some great ones this week. So thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Facebook Live, folks. I know we didn't get a question from Facebook Live today. Maybe I'll step up your game next time. As always, remember, live boldly, change the world, and continue to be awesome. Bye-bye.